Can you spot anything unusual about this background? Anything that's changed? No, none of that, not that, not this, not that, not this. No, there it is. Sunshine, which means getting in, out, over and under your Z1, getting it ready for the summer. Welcome back. My Z1 has a problem. Not a major problem, but some oil residue I noticed just above the sump line, which has been there for a while, which I put down to maybe some overspill, but I keep cleaning it, but it keeps coming back, which suggests it's something more serious. Looking at the overall design, my options are sump gasket, unlikely, timing cover gasket, rocker cover gasket, camshaft oil seal maybe. Let's find it and fix it. Full disclosure, I'm not a mechanic. This is normally something I would take to the professionals, but I'd like to try and figure this out for myself really. So apologies for any errors, discrepancies, not following the same sequence of events as say the professionals, but my objective is the same. So why is the car half naked? Well, I'm going to be spending a considerable amount of time leaning in and out of the engine bay, which means leaning on and potentially damaging those very fragile front wings. It's relatively easy to remove, 4 screws along the top, and remove the headlight. There's a 10mm underneath there, and slide it off, but please slide it off gently. That prevents any accidents. To get to the block and the source of the oil leak, you're going to have to remove a number of components off the front of the engine, starting with the distributor, which is held on with 3 8mm bolts. One thing to bear in mind, there's a metal coolant pipe which may prevent its removal, so just loosen those if you're struggling to get them out. In the above, I've taken the time to label all of the ignition leads. Actually, you don't need to do that because it should be written on the leads itself, which cylinder is which. The next item to remove is the clutch fan, fairly straightforward, 32mm reverse thread. So to undo, you turn clockwise, and to tighten, you turn anti-clockwise. There is a special fan clutch tool you can buy from eBay or Amazon for less than £15 because the gap to get into the 32mm nut is quite narrow. This tool makes the job a lot easier as it stops the pulley spinning whilst you're trying to undo the nut.
It's not hard to fool me, no, 'cause I'm addicted to the good life. Yes. Yeah, lead the way, I follow, no need to say, no, where we are heading now, babe, I follow, to the edge of it all, to the edge of it all. So tell your good lies, 'cause I'll buy no matter what, yeah. Susceptible lies.
The alternator and power steering belt's fairly straightforward on the M20. You've got the belt and adjuster arm, which you need to loosen, remove the tension from the belt before it can be removed. Do check that your adjuster arm, it hasn't shredded any of the teeth. If it has, BMW still make them, so you can order a replacement arm.
It's not a problem, no, 'cause I know what I'm getting into. Yes. Yeah, and nothing can stop me, no, 'cause I'm addicted to what you and I realize. Lead the way, I follow, no need to say, no need to say.
Draining the coolant is probably not essential, but I want to be able to get a good view of the front of the block really and identify where the leak is coming from. I planned on doing a coolant flush anyway, so I'm not wasting any resources.
Susceptible now, before the moment flies, before it flies. So tell you goodnight, 'cause I'll buy no matter what. Susceptible.
In this clip I'm unbolting the timing cover and engine support hook, but soon realize it won't budge because obviously the coolant hose is still bolted to it. Worth noting, a common fault with the timing cover, the left bolt at 9 o'clock has a tendency to strip its threads. If you do find that has happened with yours and it won't torque up when you come to put it back together, the solution is installing a longer 6x65mm bolt. I didn't capture this next step on camera, but the timing cover should now lift out of position. With the timing cover out of the way, oil residue is clearly visible, seeping from behind the camshaft sprocket, which would suggest the camshaft oil seal, or it could still be the rocker cover. So we need to dig a little deeper. From here on in, it should be just a case of removing the camshaft sprocket, replace the oil seal or rocker cover gasket, depending on which one's causing the fault, and then reassemble. But I could go one step further. If I remove the water pump pulley, the harmonic balancer, the lower timing cover, I can change the cam belt. Now obviously this is way beyond my particular set of limited skills, but I've always wanted to learn how to do a cam belt. And when am I going to get the opportunity to do this again? Several days later, in fact, I've spent a considerable amount of time watching several YouTube videos, of which there are many on the M20 engine to do with E30s. Nothing on the Z1 specifically, but obviously they're very similar. And the thing that concerns me the most is TDC, Top Dead Center. Big shout out to ESG Works on YouTube. They published a very detailed video on this, about 45 minutes long, really good. And I got a lot of good information from there. So what is TDC and why is it so important? Taken straight from Google, top dead center is the highest point the piston reaches in an engine cylinder, where the cylinder volume is smallest and the piston is closest to the head. It is a vital reference point for ignition timing, cam timing, and installing timing belts. Conversely, incorrect setting of TDC can lead to poor performance, can range from poor performance to catastrophic failure, something to do with the pistons smashing into camshafts. Following the tutorials, to find TDC, rotate the crank clockwise 3 times. A notch in the camshaft pulley should align with a mark on the block, and a notch on the balancer should align with a mark on the timing cover. If you're finding it difficult to turn check the car is in fact in neutral, also you can remove the spark plugs just to make it easier to crank. Quick recap: to find the current TDC setting, crank the engine 3 times. 3 times 360 degrees, then take a reading of where the camshaft and the crankshaft markings are. Do your own research, but one final thing to remember: 360 degree rotation of the crank is only 180 degrees of the camshaft, if that makes sense. So if you start at the TDC mark, rotate the crank 360 degrees, and then have a look at the camshaft, you'll notice it's only gone halfway. So 2 rotations of the crank equals 1 full turn of the crankshaft. And this is how I ended up in here, questioning my own logic. Because of the bonnet design, you can only look at the TDC marks from the sides, and it appeared as if it was out of alignment. But it couldn't be out of alignment because I last had the Cambelt changed about 3 years ago, and it has been working fine ever since. But the evidence suggested otherwise. It looked like the timing belt was out by 1 tooth. And then I thought, maybe because I'm peering in from the side and the perception's all wrong, so if I could get a direct line of sight at the front of the engine, then I'll be able to confirm the TDC marks. That does make sense, but unlike the E30 owners who can just remove the bonnet and the engines right in front of them, the design of the Z1 is different, of course, as it slopes forward. So I had this ingenious idea: remove the radiator, crawl in to the gap, and then I'll be able to look directly at the TDC marks on the crankshaft and the camshaft, except I couldn't fit. That was a complete waste of time.